all over the place, but we can spend a lot of time talking about this because Jesus spent a lot of time talking about it. But I hope it gave you some perspective at least. And if something wasn't clear or if you think something was unfair, then please make a comment. Arnold.
Thank you, Jan. What does a biblically, financially sound life look like?
So again, unfortunately, Arnold, you picked Christianity. You didn't pick Islam because they could give you a list, a little pamphlet to tell you exactly what you should do. Christianity doesn't work like that. It's a relationship. And it sometimes sucks because it would be so easy to just know what I need to do. I just need to tick those boxes and just get on with life. Because that's how I work. If I can just do, it's a little bit like my mom asking me, Johan, you must do the following chores. Okay, then I said, just give me exactly. Don't add more chores. Just tell me now what it is. I'll get it out of the way and I'll get on with the rest of my weekend. That's a little bit how we approach this. The thing that I would say is also that we focused more on money here, but when we talk about tithing, when we talk about giving, it's not just about money, because money is actually more often than not is easy. We can outsource that, okay? It's time as well. And I guess the phrase says time is money. Maybe that helps you get past it, but it's our lives in every aspect of it that we need to give. And I'm not going to tell you what it looks like. I gave you the principle of what happened and what it is. And that is the whole principle of nothing that you have belongs to you. So that's the thing that you have to work out, okay, in fear and trembling, maybe. You have to work out, because that's salvation, that's grace. So now you have to work it out in your own life. But what helps is to see glimpses of it in other people. That's why community is so important, to look at various people, because there are things that you guys manage to get right that I do not manage to get right. And that's why in community you need to figure these things out. But I can tell you that I know of a cell group where once a year they bring their tax return sheets to the cell and they look at what everybody's owning and how much they should give. I kid you not. Some people did this. So everybody's money is there for everybody to see how should we live. I'm not saying that that's the way to go, but it's a way to go. It's people who took this grace thing seriously and they're wrestling with it. I've had the opportunity to see the agri-dwala, to see farmers really wrestling with this issue. I recently made a video called Agri-dwala. Are there anyone who didn't see that? Just by raise of hands, who does not know what I'm talking about? It's no shame. Okay, shame on you for not watching that. I'm going to send it to you, and if you do not watch that within the next 2 days, bad things will happen to you. But it's this unassuming farmer and his wife, Kwisi and Lisa van Zyl. I mean, there's nothing special about them. As a matter of fact, there's something comical when you look at them. And they're these farmers in Overberg, ja? Nie ons is hier in Overberg in die Weskaap. It's lekker om hier te wees. They're these almost strange-looking people. And but this guy realized that his farm does not belong to him. He wants to farm God's way. And he started to develop these guys on the farm. And now there's a set of 30 people who are commercial farmers. Kleerling gemeenskap. And it took so much. Forget about the money. The money is the easy thing when it comes to land reform. It's the mentoring. Day in, day out. No, don't do this, do that, do that. I'm going to film a video now of a guy called Ian Stein. He's there in Koster. He's got an agricultural school. He started with the agricultural school. It didn't work at all. The guys would drop out. It would start very well, and then they would drop out. And then he realized it's because these guys, the fatherlessness is this big issue. They don't have mentors or whatever. So he adjusted the curriculum. And now, half of the curriculum has to do with being a good father, identity, acceptance, nothing with agriculture, but they have to write these exams when it comes to fatherhood, identity, everything. And they all live with him in his house. So, because, in sy woorde, quote unquote, hulle jaag te veel kak aan as hulle nie hier bly nie. And so they live with him in the house. He sees them. What did you do there? Have you done that? Okay, good. And he fathers them. That's because that's what they need. And yes, some of them are 30-year-old, but they need fathering. That's what it meant for this guy. And convicted from his Christian approach. There was a big turning point in the land reform discussion. It was last year when Landbou Weekblad, Farmers Weekly, organized an event at Bela Bela. It was well broadcasted and documented. And they had David Mabuza and a bunch of politicians there as well. And they said, okay, guys, we need to talk about it. And they got 60 people to share some of their ideas in terms of land reform. They got 60 people, and these are just the 60 people who's had some success in what they've been doing with their commercial farming enterprises. They asked them to come and share their story in less than 10 minutes over a 3-day period. Farmers Weekly organized this. They are just desperate. We need to sort this thing out. Of the 60 stories that happened there, 58 were effectively testimonies. These people didn't get the cue that this is a secular event. They came there, no, then the Lord told me to maybe do this, and then the Here, yeah, he did. They came and they were convicted from their Christian walk, and that changed the way that they farmed. And they are almost all the success stories that we have in land reform. It's just because Christians decided, I need to get this guy in my house because otherwise he's going to, I'm not going to use the word twice. You've got Kwesi and Lisa van Zyl, who not only developed these farmers, but they also said, well, we've got a lot of orphans here. There are more than 60 kids living there on the orphanage that they have there, and they try to create a loving home as far as they can. These people inspire me to do the same. I want to, however, I don't want to say this as a cop-out because we often just latch onto this and we think it's an escape route for something else. But my mother was a great teacher, and she really gave everything in her teaching, and went the extra mile with any student, especially if you were sort of a criminal. Then she would walk the extra walk with you, and if it looks like you're going to be expelled, she will have you, because then she makes sure that you're not expelled, and then you owe her. So she becomes this mafia boss in a high school and whatever. But the one place where she didn't give that much was at home, because she would go there, and that would be her sanctuary, and that's where she would get her. She would plug in and watch mindless Seven Delan or rubbish like that, and then she will go back, and then she will give a hell of a lot, really way more than is expected of her. But it looked different from the guy who's got 15 agricultural students living in his house. I mean, I would struggle with that. I've got one living in my house. He's not an agricultural student, and I struggle with that. But the point is that we all have different things that we can do, but the cross is still at the center of it. Because I really would say in my mom's defense that she gave everything out there. So we need to do this. We need to take self-care, but also know that in the name of self-care, we often deceive ourselves. You know, no, it's really important for me to have this Porsche Lamborghini. It's good for my soul. And, you know, if I want to give out there, I really deserve this. You know, L'Oreal, you're worth it. You know, crap like that. So we need to be careful with it. But also, my mom would not be able to give as much there if she didn't do this self-care on this side. So it is important to do this. But don't hide behind it. That's a mouthful. Gil, it looks like you wanted to say something.
Hey, thanks, Sean, for the talk. I really enjoyed it. So I think just to kind of fill on to distinction, the opposite pole is asceticism. So licentiousness on the one side, to have license to just do what you want and enjoy and be a hedonist, and then being an ascetic on the other side. but to be prohibited from food or to put such self-discipline on yourself as not to enjoy anything, or maybe they should just, if you can reflect on that, that would be nice as well, to maybe just shift how we enjoy things, because sharing could be enjoying, or sharing people, and it's not taking fun away, but how we perceive what is to be enjoyed. So maybe there's something there.
So I'll really try to reflect on some of that, because it's a genuine danger. And that's just so human, because humans are so stupid. But what we would do, for example, is we would say, no, this is wrong. We need to give. We need to do this thing now. And then we go for this ascetic life where you live in a monastery and you deny yourself all of these things. But then you know how you become within a day or two. You become this moralistic person who makes everybody around them feel guilty about what they do. I find myself doing that as well, being very judgmental very quickly. Well, I mean, Jesus had a few things to say about that also. So you need to be very careful, because now, again, the cross is not the center of this. I am the center of this, and how I've managed to get rid of these things. So it's something that we need to be very wary against, and that's why we need community to do it. Because in community, somebody would say, dude, you're being a bit of an asshole there when you're always doing this and this and this. Just be mindful of that, or just be mindful of that and that and that. So that is important, I think, to do this thing in community. Another concept that I quite like, if you think of the first century church, I mean, that church was with something else. But the Romans looked in on this group of Christians and they said, you guys are crazy because you're so stingy sexually. You're so stingy. I mean, just relax a little bit. Just express yourself sexually. But they became very, very stingy in this aspect. But they were very promiscuous in how they gave their money away and how they approached money and their houses and everything else. So I think the calling of Christians is to be very, very stingy and selfish when it comes to our bodies and doing the sexual thing on this side, but very promiscuous when it comes to our giving and who we spend time with. We need to be very promiscuous over here. And it's often the other way around, how we do it in society. We are very promiscuous sexually, but very stingy financially. So it's true, we need to do stingy and promiscuous, but we just had it the wrong way around all this time. And I quite like that. And again, a model for that is to look at the early church. I don't think it was an argument for communism. I've spoken about that before. I don't think that's what's going on there. But it is a radically transformed heart. And that is something that looks different.
Can I just quickly rebuttal on that?
Okay.
So that promiscuity of money, but if it's on yourself, you fall into the same trap. So obviously you mean outwards towards others, and again, critiquing and weighing where you spend your money because that's where your worship is. That's what you idolize.
No, what I mean by promiscuity is in the same sexual sense. So if you're promiscuous with your body, then you share it with everyone. Hey, come have it, When you're promiscuous with your money, it's like, hey, come share it. So the one is good, the other one is bad, I think. Guys, I'm going to stop it there, but please, if you guys have want to keep going in the conversation, we can do that. I just want to respect your time and